It's a year-long celebration as North Carolina A&T State University commemorates 125 years of educating students. We'll take a look back and a peek into the future on this episode of Triad Perspectives. Hello and welcome to Triad Perspectives. I'm Sandra Hughes, your host. Steeped in a rich legacy of education, service, and activism, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University is celebrating 125 years of history this year. We are so proud of that. What began as a vision in 1891 has evolved into the largest historically black college on the planet. I used to think it was just the nation, but it is the entire world. Not to mention one of the most respected HBCUs. Joining us now is the current architect of this great institution and my alma mater, the Chancellor of North Carolina A&T State University, Dr. Harold Martin Sr. Good to have you with us.
Absolutely delighted to be here today.
Thank you for taking, I know how busy you are, so, thank goodness we didn't have to rope you down and drag you in. You were willing to come.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I knew the consequences if I didn't agree to be here. No, I'm actually delighted to be here.
Well, as the Chancellor, and as I just called you the architect, tell me, I know you're in charge of everything. What does that include, actually?
Well, as Chancellor of North Carolina A&T State University, that includes all aspects of our academic programs, our finances, athletics programs, services to meet the needs of our students through student affairs. We also have a number of collaborations that support our work as part of our land-grant mission with cooperative extension that fold under the School of Agriculture, for example. We have partnerships with institutions in the Piedmont Triad throughout North Carolina, as well as research institutions that we partner with as part of our research initiatives here as well. So those institutions include such campuses as the University of North Carolina Greensboro, North Carolina State University, for example.
So that's what I'm saying to our viewers. We are lucky that we were able to get a few minutes of his time to come and visit with us. Not long after you got here, just shortly, you came up with a vision and a plan. It's called A&T Preeminence 2020, and it's embracing our past, creating our future. Give us a look at what that means.
I had the great opportunity to serve as Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs for the University System of North Carolina. And from that position, you had an opportunity to look across the University of North Carolina, to look across higher education in America and see growing changes in the landscape for higher education. You saw an opportunity to see increasing competitiveness across the universities, across America, across North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And what that meant then for institutions like North Carolina A&T. And so arriving here as Chancellor then, it created an opportunity for me to begin to have broad conversations with all of our constituents, our Board of Trustees, our alumni, our faculty and staff on this campus, and our students to think about the opportunities afforded this institution, but in a growing landscape where competition was the order of the day, where accountability was increasing for institutions of higher education in general. And so it was important for us to create a blueprint, a roadmap that would get all of our constituents, or most of us, on the same page, so that we would be able to then call upon all of our constituents in a significant way to open opportunities for our university to reposition so our past, our great traditions and great history, and looking toward the future. And so we began a conversation about where are we headed as an institution.
And one thing that I'm so proud of about A&T is we're not a university of buildings sitting in the middle of the outside community. We are all together in a way.
That's right. And I think anytime you begin to think about competing in the future, you've got to change. You've got to enhance what you do well, and you've got to open doors of opportunity for the institution for the future. Otherwise, we're very familiar with organizations that have gone out of business because those organizations haven't shifted. We're very clear that institutions of higher education are all committed to increasing their diversity. And so many institutions have stepped into a very competitive space and are aggressively recruiting. For example, those students we have historically and traditionally served here in significant numbers. But universities of higher education throughout North Carolina, evidence is there. UNC Charlotte, East Carolina, for example, Old Dominion, VCU in Virginia, for example, are competing for those same bright students we have historically served here. And we had to understand that that competition was going to only intensify in the future.
So I know your job is tough because, as I've told you before, I've been here since I was 5 years old. My dad came to school, started school then, and so we didn't have a babysitter. He had to bring us to college with him. And then I graduated from here in 1969. So I am total Aggie through and through.
Very well.
And I'm very proud of that. And I want people who know me, who know other students here, who know you, to feel a part of what happens here and to come to us if they have something that they think we can use or need or whatever. Now, we are a land grant university. I don't know that I've ever understood exactly what that means.
Well, prior to 1860, there was not a structured public university system in America that provided access to higher education for the ordinary citizens of our country. Most persons who were afforded the opportunity to go to college tended to be individuals from affluent families. And they tended to go to private institutions here in America, or they traveled around the world and gained their education, typically in England, for example. And so in 1862, Senator Justin Morrill, was able to take a conversation that had been occurring over a period of 3 to 5 years and formulated legislation called the Morrill Act that created the very first public university system in America to provide educational opportunities for the ordinary citizens of our nation and educating those citizens for a purpose, and that is to meet the growing needs of a developing nation, the United States of America. The challenge at that time, though, was that the public university system that grew out of the 1862 land grant Morrill Act provided educational opportunities for white citizens. And that was in 1862. The Civil War that ended in 1865 created an opportunity then for African Americans, freed blacks at that time, who had no access to higher education. But that large population of citizens of our country then, as freed citizens, had to be educated as well, to be integrated into a workforce and opportunities to make a living as well. And so the same Senator, Justice Morrill, came back and created a second Morrill Act called the Morrill Act of 1890 that created public universities for African Americans. And North Carolina A&T was established by the state of North Carolina in March of 1891 to create an institution. The challenge at that time was creating a system of public institutions that were critical to the needs of our nation. What was critical to the needs of our nation? We were a developing industrial nation. We were developing...
I'm going to stop you right there. I want to hear about those critical needs, but we're going to take a short break right now, and when we come back, Dr. Martin will tell you a little more about those critical needs and the fact that North Carolina A&T is a land grant university. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is an A&T Historical Minute, and I am William Robson. The Corbett Sports Center opened December 3rd, 1978. It is named after Ellis F. Corbett, a 1931 graduate of A&T. Officially known as Mr. A&T, his official title was Sports Information Director. He performed many other roles on campus, including dorm counselor, and he was a member of the board in control of intercollegiate athletics. The three-story complex includes office space, classrooms, and 2 racquetball courts, in addition to an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Corbett also houses many of the human performance and leisure study courses at A&T. The Corbett Sports Center is the current home of the North Carolina A&T men and women's basketball teams and the swimming team. This has been a Historical Minute, and I am William Robinson.
Welcome back to Triad Perspectives. I'm your host, Sandra Hughes, and I am honored today in a way I can't even explain because we've been able to get the Chancellor of North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University to join us today to talk about some of the things we hear all the time, but we may not understand. This is Dr. Harold Martin, who is our Chancellor, and you were just telling us before the break about the land grant situation and what it means, and you were saying currently,
well, the way the land grant legislation worked is a federal legislation. The legislation required that the federal government provide a grant of funds to any state in a union that agreed to create legislation to create a public university per the legislation. And so hence the land grant. The funds used to purchase land. The states agreed to create a university focused on those core areas that were critical to the nation as framed out in the legislation. Agriculture, the mechanical arts, and classical arts as appropriate to educate citizens in our nation. And at that time, we needed to train citizens who understood the science of planting and growing food to supply a growing nation here in America, to provide the training of teachers, to begin to start creating a public educational system to begin to educate the citizens of our nation.
and it was all male to begin with,
It was
right?
all males initially. It was considered an opportunity to educate men to take on and create businesses, to establish and operate farms, successful farms, producing food to supply for their families as well as to supply for other citizens of our nation as well. But it also created an expectation that you would create technically minded individuals who were necessary to help create machinery to drive industries in our nation, to create farm tools and the like, to help enhance the production of food products and the like. And so the early areas of agricultural science, the early plant science focus, early teacher education programs, early mechanical and electrical engineering, or engineering in general programs, for example, to meet a nation's growing needs, for example. So if you look at most land-grant institutions, they have pretty much the same academic program profile.
Okay.
Technical institutions in America.
I know when I graduated from high school, my father gave me the chance. He says, you can go to the women's college or you can go to A&T. And I had heard that A&T had a ratio of 7 men to each woman. I said, I'll take A&T. Because that sounds like that would be a lot more fun. And I could never, ever regret being a part of this particular family. Let's go back to you were talking about the state and money. How are we now with the state? I understand that the state's really crunching for money. So how is that affecting us?
We have unfortunately, as most states around the nation, we experienced a recession here in North Carolina as well. 7, 8 years ago, we began with a legislature reducing budgets, appropriations for the University of North Carolina. And so we've experienced cuts here for about 7 years in a row, inclusive of this year. Probably the least of our cuts have occurred this year in a long time. So we had a good year with the legislature this year. Now, those cuts have impacted the universities overall. We've sought to be very strategic in how we've managed those cuts on our campus because we had a well-defined strategic plan that laid out what our priorities are for the university today and for the foreseeable future. We've used our strategic plan to identify where we saw the most strategic cuts that needed to be made on our campus. So we've been very smart about that. So they had minimal impact overall in our ability to continue to advance the university.
But as we look to the future, are you feeling good about what we see coming as far as the assistance from the state is concerned?
I expect the state is going to continue to be relatively conservative about appropriations for higher education in North Carolina. And I expect that will reflect itself in several ways. One, modest appropriations to our campuses for new programs and new opportunities for the future. I expect that we will continue to see an expectation that for our universities to continue to operate in a competitive way supporting quality programs, we'll have to begin to see modest adjustments in tuition and fees to meet the growing operational needs of our universities overall.
Now, as I ride around campus and everyone else for that, we see construction. Parking is
An issue.
an issue. But what are you seeing happening on campus now that you like?
What we've been able to do with the support of our students, with the support of our Board of Trustees, since the legislation has not supported new capital improvements for our campus, our students and our board have supported investments of our university that are long overdue. We've invested significantly, for example, in a new student health center, beautiful student health center to meet the needs of our student population. Students have agreed to support the construction of a new student center, a major new complex for our university to change the services and support and meeting space to support our students well into the future, for example. But as we've said to our students, we've said to our board, and we've said to our Board of Governors for the University of North Carolina system, we can't continue to place the costs of moving our university forward into the future on the backs of our students. And so we're looking for the legislature to come forward with continuing support in appropriate ways for funding for the future. And this legislative session, we're fortunate that the legislature has agreed with the governor to put before the citizens of North Carolina in March 2016 a bond referendum that includes about a $90 million building for our university that supports expansion of research and graduate education and new programs for the future in our College of Engineering.
When I was a student here, the bookstore
Yes.
was called the Red Carpet Room,
Yes.
and that was our student union.
Yes.
And it was about the size of just a few tables
space.
around us then,
Small
but we were
space.
so proud of it, so
Yes.
proud. Well, I want to hear more about, I understand that many of the colleges, arts and science, engineer, whatever, are doing all types of research that don't just affect us, but affect the world.
Yes.
I would like for you to name two of those kinds of projects that are going on that you're pretty proud of, and perhaps something that you would like to see coming. Maybe a project that hasn't started yet, but we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll continue to talk to the Chancellor of North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, Dr. Harold Martin. Stay with us.
This is the North Carolina A&T State University Historical Minute. I'm Marilyn Parker. The Dudley Memorial Building houses more stone applications than any other building on A&T's campus. A sweep of 15 stones guide visitors to the main entrance. Built in 1893, the original facility contained a library, an auditorium, and administrative offices. In 1930, a fire led to a reconstruction, and the facility was renamed after A&T's second president, James B. Dudley. Today, the building is home to the Maddie Reed African Heritage and H.C. Taylor Art Galleries, music classrooms, and laboratories. The Dudley Memorial Building is located on the east side of campus, directly behind the statue of the A&T 4 and right across from Dudley Road.
Welcome back to Triad Perspectives. North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University is celebrating 125 years of educational excellence this year. Now, our guest today is the man who's leading all of that. He's the chancellor of this fine institution, Dr. Harold Martin, Sr. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here with us today, because I know you've got a university to run. But just, we're excited about 125 years. Tell us about that.
Well, celebrating a birthday is important anytime.
Yes.
It really is. And
except when you start getting older, you don't want to celebrate it anymore.
well, any organization that's been around for over 100 years and has had such a rich history and traditions as our university, and now celebrating 125 years anniversary. It's just remarkable. It really, really is. And when you look across 125 years at our incredible history, it is important to pause and celebrate and reflect on the remarkable things that this institution has done for this state, this nation, and this world. When I interact with our alumni, wherever I am, I may be walking down the street in France and in Paris or something, or in Beijing, China, and it's amazing. If you have anything on that says A&T,
Yes.
you'll hear Aggie Pride immediately from someone
That's right.
doing that trip. You really will. So our graduates are impacting the world. They really are. And the great traditions of excellence established by leaders of this institution, faculty, and academic programs require that we pause and celebrate this great history of our university and share that with our current students today and with our family and friends of the institution. It is so exciting to think about all the wonderful things that have occurred here, while also thinking about the opportunities for the future. And that's why I love the video for our university, Our Pride, Our Future. We talk about our great history and our pride related to that great history. But you also think about enthusiastically the possibilities for the future as well. And so we are celebrating our 125th with all of the fanfare and enthusiasm and excitement that one celebrates 125 years as a birthday.
Now, we just celebrated the greatest homecoming on earth.
Yes.
And I'm told that there were more people there this year than, I don't know, maybe ever before. What do you think?
Anecdotally, we have no numbers to support that other than in those venues where we take attendance, if you will. The donor reception, the concerts, all were sellouts. The football game was a sellout, early, for example. And so all of those venues suggest that this was one of the largest homecoming crowds we've experienced in our history. And with just great weather, incredible events, and lots of individuals coming back to the campus as part of the festivities for celebration for our 125th, but also for the homecoming as well.
And that, to me, means that the alumni, is that the way you say it, of this
Absolutely.
university, really are paying attention
Paying attention.
to what you're making happen on this university, and they want to come back and be a part of it.
Well, we're a great team, communicating success stories of our students and our faculty and our staff, excite our alumni, and reflecting and sharing successful stories of our alumni and the incredible things that they're doing and accomplishing in their lives and in their careers. Excite our alumni. It really, really does. And so we are connecting more effectively today with our alumni. We're communicating success stories of our university. We're hearing their perspectives and their opinions about our university today and the plans for the future, for example. And that kind of engagement is critically important for the university and sets a great strategy for opportunities for interactions for the future. It also says to bright students who are in middle schools and high schools around the nation today that they're looking for an incredible educational opportunity. North Carolina A&T State University is an institution that they ought to give a look at.
And that's why I'm so proud of that being the largest HBCU in the planet, in the world. That's fabulous. And so if we have some listeners out there who are middle school, high schoolers, what can you say to them that will convince them that North Carolina A&T is a place to get a quality education?
When I speak to parents and their sons and daughters, 6th graders, 8th graders, 9th, 12th graders, we talk about the return on investment. And so we say to a broad array of students and their families, we have a broad array of high quality, well-established, accredited degree programs that are producing consistently across this broad array of degree programs well-prepared graduates who are in high demand for the leading global industries in the world, who are being recruited aggressively across a broad array of disciplines and getting quality, high-paying jobs in leadership roles and are being very successful in those industries. And our graduates are amongst the highest percentage of graduates among universities in the UNC system.
Wow.
Who are going on to America's top graduate and professional schools.
That's wonderful.
And so when I speak to parents and sons and daughters, if you have a high interest in gaining a job in a quality, competitive environment, or if you're interested in going on to grad and professional schools, North Carolina A&T State University does that very well.
Yes.
And so, and does that in such a way that it connects you to a broad array of very successful individuals who look just like you, who've been here,
That's right.
experienced what we expect you will experience in the future. And they will then serve as mentors for you and help you on your journey to being successful in your career as well.
And that's something I'm so proud of, because I see our faculty and staff working with students one-on-one, whatever the
Absolutely.
situation might be. I'm very proud of that. Now, as you close your eyes and dream for a minute, where do you see us at 2020?
At 2020, we expect a campus, an enrollment of about 12 to 15,000 students, probably around at 12 to 13,000, thereabouts. A diverse campus, globally diverse. We're seeking to recruit students from all over the world who are interested in a high-quality education. We are a doctoral research university, and we expect to see growth in our graduate programs in terms of array of options available as graduate programs, and a graduate population that sets us at about 3,500 students at the graduate level, high percentages of doctoral students in a variety of disciplines, with a growth in our research approaching about $100 million, with innovation and creativity that's driving commercialization possibilities and creating jobs in this region and in this state and beyond in significant ways. And so we're at a place and time in our history where the opportunities and possibilities for our university to not only continue to be a leading public university, but to be a leading public land-grant institution with a doctoral research mission. That's critically important to me and our board, and in my mind, in our minds, our future.
That's a big statement. I want you all to remember that. And I want you to make sure you're here in 20. I know other schools are probably dying to get you to come and work with them, but we need to keep you here so that all of the things that we're so proud of here at North Carolina A&T will continue, as you mentioned. And so can I get you to sign this contract now saying you will be here?
I can say to you that I'm very passionate about my work.
Good.
And
I'm
so,
glad to hear that. Dr. Martin, it has been delightful
Pleasure's mine.
to have you with us today. Thank you so very much for taking time out of your huge schedule to come and be with us. We hope you will enjoy, you have enjoyed watching our show today, and be sure to watch us again next Monday. We're on at 5:30 right here on Time Warner Cable, Channel 69. Also, we encourage you to follow us on social media. Now, you can like Triad Perspectives on Facebook. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at TriadP_NCATJOMC. You can watch this and all of our shows on our YouTube page. It's simply type in NC Aggie TV. And be sure to check out our website at blogs.ncat.edu/TV studio. We want to hear from you too. If you have a story you want to tell, you have a program you want to promote, anything you'd like to do, or you want to give us some suggestions on what you'd like to see. We'd love to hear from you, so get in touch. Thanks for watching us. Have a great evening. We'll see you next week.